Hello everyone, Thyworm here, dissecting the devlog about patch 0.3. I'll give you my thoughts and opinions. Let's start.
Hey all, what's up? I'm Emil and I'm the lead game designer on Pagan Online. You may also know me as Easy Mode from Discord, where I interact with you guys. First of all, I want to thank you all personally for all the feedback you provide us on our social media, mainly on Discord and Reddit. I want to assure everyone that literally every line of feedback is read by us. We tend to analyze it, we tend to separate it in two categories. One is which is pure shit, one is which is very constructive, and we then collide it with our own design decisions and make some conclusions on what to do next.
I also divide my comments into categories, and shitty comments are dealt with swiftly. So I'm glad Pagan takes the same approach. Constructive criticism gets a reply on my channel, by the way guys, because we all make mistakes, I for sure, in some of these vids, so please point those out.
I also want to stress that due to high level ideas for our game, we sometimes do not fix something that is broken and we know it's broken, but we leave it for the later stages of development when we know we can fully address it.
What's pretty clear to me is that Emil is referring to how Madhead Games takes feedback into account and incorporates it into their patches. And they do that very well. The patches up to now consist almost exclusively of player requests. And I know this because I read the Discord feedback channel like a backup Sasha. Discord is my main source of information for a lot of videos I release, so I know what you guys want.
Let's talk about the immediate future and what awaits us in the next patch, patch 0.3.
Okay, now the real juicy bits of info. Patch 0.3.
So let's talk about legendary items.
If someone gets the reference to this Skyrim helmet, please let me know in the comments. I just don't get it.
Right now they're not so legendary. Mainly they're pure shit. That is because we have some bugs in our legendary crafting system which we are going to address soon. The main bug is that legendary items are not affected by crafting bonuses, which means that really quickly epic items become far more powerful than legendary ones. That was leading people to farm epic materials because of higher reroll potential of epic items, which in turn led to legendary materials and items being useless.
So what Emil is basically saying is, legendary crafting sucked. We knew that, he knew that, but now we also know why, because it was bugged. Apparently it's intended to work just like epic crafting, where you'll be able to reforge those legendaries to increase their strength. But there's more information about legendary items coming up.
For patch 0.3 we are completely rebalancing legendary items. They will be now better than the epic ones. Legendary items can also be reforged, but they do not roll random stats, they only reroll values.
Two things here. First, legendaries will be better than epics. If that's true, then these legendaries are going to be insanely good, because I've seen a few reforged epics within the community that are absolutely bonkers. Really not that easy to top with a legendary item, even after these changes I think. But I'm hopeful. I think if legendaries can just compete with reforged epics at this point in time and give some interesting unique bonuses to maybe create some builds around, that would be good enough. Second, what's very exciting is that legendaries can be reforged, but with a small caveat, and that is that the rolls on legendary gear aren't random, but fixed. Only the values of those rolls are impacted by reforging and will depend on your craftsman level. Once again, I am really curious how powerful these new legendaries will be. Emil is certainly setting the bar pretty high, so I'm super excited for this patch.
Okay, let's talk about difficulties. Our statement would be that we want players to be able to have proper challenge while having the best possible gear in our game, so we do not want players to be able to one-shot or speed through the content. Both hard and master difficulty will receive significant increases in health pool and enemy damage. Each difficulty will also bring a set of armor and resistance penalties, meaning that on higher difficulties players can start with negative values to their resistances and armor, which in turn will lead that gear containing armor and resistances is more useful now.
So this whole section should be seen in the context of the legendary overhaul, I feel. If indeed legendaries are more powerful than reforged epics, then a higher difficulty is needed. As of now, people are already one-shotting endgame bosses. I feel most of the players aren't, by the way, certainly not me, but if we get even better gear, everyone would be clearing endgame content without any challenge, which isn't fun. So they increase the difficulty, which is a good move. I also like the way how. There is an increase in monster damage, an increase in monster health, and armor and resistances will start to play a bigger role. This is very much the same mechanics as we see in other action RPGs like Diablo and Path of Exile. The latter I've played a lot, and getting your resistance gear in shape is always this kind of minigame, which I really enjoy. It also rewards the min-maxing players with additional parameters to play around with and that way create an edge. Also, those difficulty changes work well with the recent co-op changes, I would say. I would personally love Pagan Online to slowly turn into this game where master difficulty either requires a completely decked out character with like 19k might, or requires help from other people using co-op. By doing this, you create a much higher sense of community in game. Also, making it through these missions feels much more rewarding. Difficulty in games should really not be underestimated and can be a big part of enjoying a game and feeling immersed into that game, as long as it is done right and not to the point of endless frustration. If a game is capable of providing a true sense of accomplishment, then you have struck gold as a developer. I'm really curious to see how this first iteration of difficulty balancing turns out. I'm sure it won't be the last balancing that we will see, but I'm definitely jumping back into the game to see if master difficulty feels more rewarding.
Co-op is getting some love too. Threats are now able to be played in co-op mode. Also, selecting difficulties for co-op missions is now available, it's being fixed. Difficulty balance is further increased in co-op, enemies got bigger numbers now.
Some good news for co-op fans. Threats can be played in co-op, which is something I will be doing quite a lot. Also, the difficulty is fixed. Hard and master difficulty were bugged for co-op, and even when you selected them, you played a normal mission. Also here, once again difficulty and balancing is mentioned, and for me it's the same as I've just said. It's a good move, can't wait to see how it pans out, excited to play some co-op.
Some of the mission bosses are receiving fixes, namely Cobbler, Veles and Thyworm. Not all of the bugs are ironed out, but we will keep working on it.
Small side note as well on the bosses. I've said previously that I think it's good that bosses get some love because it shows the longer term vision of the game, at least in my opinion. So rework is good, but I've got nothing else to say really about this.
We recognize it's not a good design decision to be forced into playing one of the 3 starting heroes without trying all 3 of them. First change we implement is that the players now will get a prompt at the end of the tutorial asking them if they really want to commit to that hero. If not, they will be able to pick another one and try it out. Unfortunately, there are some glitches to this which will force players to relog, but we are working on fixing those.
I think this is just a great example of Mad Hat Games using our feedback. The starting hero lock-in thing was a problem, especially for new players. It was the source of a bunch of bad Steam reviews as well, because people picked something they didn't like and were forced to play it. So that's now fixed, at least to some extent, and with some workarounds. But they're aware of this and they're addressing it, which is good. Also, I think from a community perspective this is a smart decision, because we need this community to grow. And by making the life of new players a bit easier and showing them clearly what each starting hero does, they will enjoy the game much more from the start. They will probably fall in love with the game as well, like most of the people watching right now. And that is in the end a great thing for everyone.
Now you can choose in options which items you want to pick from the ground automatically, so it's a nice little quality of life improvement.
Auto pick selection. Indeed a great quality of life improvement. As far as I know, the selection can be done on rarity, currency and quality of an item. That is what Easy Mode said on Discord some time ago. But I think the patch notes will be clear on these new options. Great addition to the game though. Up next on this topic is hopefully a loot filter to avoid the screen clutter altogether.
We are always thinking about on how to improve the control scheme, so we added a different option to move in combat. Frankly, it feels a little weird for us, but it might make some people happy. It is set so W key can be set up to always move players towards mouse pointer, while A and D keys then function as strafe buttons. While it might not feel natural, this system can be set up in a way where you bind your left mouse button to move forward and then get some kind of mouse movement system out of it. It is not perfect, it's still experimental, but it might give you some other options to explore.
This whole mouse movement thing is sort of interesting. Once again, on Steam reviews, a lot of people are complaining about the controls. Some people just don't like WASD movement. That's fine, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just wondering if movement options like these are going to satisfy these players. And also, I am not 100% sure it's a good idea to keep investing development capacity into changes like this. Mad Hat Games could just say, hey guys, this game is WASD movement, deal with it. If you like it, great, you're gonna love this game. If you don't, we're sorry. And this decision with the left mouse button binding and then using W to move towards your mouse button just seems a little bit like hesitation, if that makes sense. This is really the only change that I'm a little critical about, because I'm just not totally convinced these changes are going to win anyone over, anyone that doesn't like WASD to begin with. Let me know your opinion on this movement issue, because I get the perspective from Mad Hat Games as well. They're not forcing anyone else to play differently here, of course. We can all keep using WASD, and they want the game to be as accessible as possible to as many people as they can. I'm curious to hear your thoughts.
Another small change we are making is that now you can respec which modifier node is active in your skill trees.
That skill tree respec may be a small change, but it has quite a bit of impact. Now players can mess around with different builds a little bit more. Combine this change together with the legendary overhaul and creating valid and actual builds for characters, which I personally always really enjoy, is certainly a lot closer than it was. So I really like this minor change.
Our solo high level mission, the Gauntlet, is getting some love too. It will now have rewards, drops and even some very rare legendaries. So that's it for this devlog episode, see you in Pantheon.
And that's it for me as well. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more Pagan online content. You can find me on Twitter as well, at Thyworm. Thanks for watching and I'll see you soon. Bye bye.